Hey, welcome back everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in another Corporate Clash video. It's so exciting. So let me see if it's still here actually. So I learned something and it only took me to all the way till completing the main task line to kind of figure it out. But it turns out that if you go into your friends list and go to the all tuned friends, turns out that if you come across a name in red, I believe it indicates that that person, that tune, has not been online for 6 months, 6 or more months at least. I'm like 90% sure that's the case based off what I read. It's just so interesting because I've never noticed it before, and you go down the list, and I did not expect that. I just came on. It was the other day. I just came on, just kind of do some fun activities and such, and I came across that list. I saw it. I'm like, wait a minute. What's this? What's going on here? That was fascinating to find out. Feed a boss cog 2 times. Well, maybe not today. Maybe another day. Today, I'm so thankful that I received a few questions. At the time of this recording, I received a few questions since my last episode. So I kind of figured this would be a good opportunity to just come here, fish, and hey, how about that fishing level? Oh, well, now it got ruined, but at the start of this, it was at exactly 0. How often do you see that? Especially you have someone who has, a middle level kind of activity level, like fishing, for example, 43. It's kind of like in the middle there. And it just was exactly at 0. How about that? You don't see that. You really don't see that too often. That was very fascinating to see. Very happy about that. And at some point soon here, we want actually first, let me go see something. Anyway, the plan for today, at least, is to answer some questions I've received and hopefully expand upon some things, and hopefully, it gives you a better idea of me, which is what the intention of this is. Hopefully, we do well with that. First things first, though. Can I get an upgrade? So yeah, if you ever need to, if you ever need to upgrade, like your fishing stuff, for example, whatever you have, like your both your rod and your oh, I can, okay, your rod or how many I think you can catch in a bucket. So that'll be on the items page. Items. Steel. Okay, we're good. Oh yeah, look at those jelly beans. I've just... Okay, yeah, let's go in even more debt. Okay, that's been upgraded automatically. So yeah, you see the Telltale Carp. Very, very funny building. I like it. And the shopkeeper's Edgar Allan Poe. Anyway, though, you just, hey, Pandora's Fox. Okay, I like that name. Hey, I wonder what happens when someone tries to open Pandora's Fox, if it's like something else, opening Pandora's box. Anyway, though, if you need an upgrade, you'll come to Sparkle Boatyard. You head onto Anchor Avenue. As the very first building. Yeah, you saw the route I took, but it's the first kind of building here on your right-hand side. So with those upgrades in mind, hopefully we can catch very useful fish with this now. And also for the record too, so you can see, you know, level 78 is not that bad. I believe 80 is the max. And I'm very happy with being able to get 78 by the end of the main task line. The people who are more experienced, who have done this multiple times, have said that they're able to get to level 80 by the time they finish the main task line, and that is phenomenal. I'm very happy though, you know, first time trying it out, getting that close, which seems to be like really standard, you know. I'm given to understand that that's, you know, a typical range if it's your first time trying, you know, the main task line and such. That's kind of the main, it's designed essentially in a way that if you do all the main tasks, all the side quests, and, you know, a little bit of stuff in between, you're very good to get into the mid 70s and very close to, you know, that level 80. So that's very good. So anyway, so the plan for today is just to kind of, I guess, a Q&A type thing. I did receive some questions. Very happy about that since my last Clash video, which always thrilled about that. So let me just pull up what I have here. So the first question, how did I get started playing Corporate Clash? So yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, I've been playing Rewritten since 2014, June of 2014. So we're almost coming up on, well, probably by the time this gets posted, it will be 8 years. But at the time of recording, it's almost 8 years that I've been playing Rewritten. It's within the first couple of days of June, actually. Like June 4th, I want to say June 3rd or 4th would be the exact like day. But we're coming up on 8 years, which is mind-blowing. And then obviously Clash I just started in September of 2021. So, you know, I have some months here under my belt, the metaphorical belt, unless my tune's wearing a belt, in which case, there we go. But yeah, it's just, you know, so how did I get started with all this? So essentially, you know, I'd been thinking about it for a while. Then a couple of friends who, you know, very knowledgeable of Corporate Clash, they, you know, they'd convinced me to give it a try at least and to, you know, at least join it. So I will say one of the things that turned me, you know, I guess one of the hesitancies I had initially about whether or not to try it was just because of my schedule and such and how things work out. I didn't know how far I'd be able to get in this, and I'm someone I like to be able to finish something. So obviously being able to get through the main task line and such, you know, I like to be able to complete something. So I just didn't know with my schedule and such at the time if I would be able to. But you know what? They convinced me that there would be, you know, like whatever help I needed along the way throughout most times of the day. That, you know, Tune HQ is a great way to get help with groups and such to help complete tasks, and they were right. I mean, at times it took a little bit to get a group filled, especially at some hours of the day. But ultimately, I was very thrilled that, you know, they were right. Like, groups were able to fill. I was able to, you know, complete all the tasks I needed and such. Just so many friendly people. And again, just being able to complete it. So now I definitely feel good about, you know, taking their advice and starting this because I was able to finish it. And so that's kind of how I got started in all this. Let's see, let's cast the line and take another question. Okay, wait. Here, I'm just going to put it out here, so that way I can go look at my question list. Okay, what do you like most about the game? That's a very good question. So, one thing I really loved, one thing that really separates it by far, and I've said this before and I would say it again, just the overall friendliness of the community. And it's phenomenal. I mean, I say this as genuinely as possible. I've come across so many nice people with the Clash community, the corporate Clash community. It's amazing how nice everyone is. And I've met, people who are on the Clash crew, staff members. That's the right term, Clash crew, whatever the correct term is. People who are, whether they're like I don't know what their version of it is, but like technical operations type such, maintaining the game, the moderation of it, support or community representative or however the term is, but like support. I've met partners, for those of you that don't know, Corporate Clash does have a partner program for, people who are streamers, or people who have a community, or, just a general partner program for people who want to. Whoa, that gave a lot of. Whoa. Look at that. You're piranha roll. Yes, I am. Holy mackerel, I did not expect that. Anyway, though, but they do have a partnership program for people like that. So, very strong leaders within the community who want to, showcase their brand, so to speak. And to also give back to the community, too. I think that's also a lot that goes into it. These are people who are also very generous and, they want to do much for the community at large for Corporate Clash. And so that, I've met partners and it's very funny because people know me. I'm very punny in nature. I try to be, and I joke with, partners or even staff members or, the Clash crew, however it's phrased, or, and even everyday people such as myself, even, just, I like to joke around with everyone. Everyone needs a good laugh. That's also part of, I guess that kind of ties back into the first question too about like why I started streaming this, is that, it's like as I kept going on, I did kind of realize that, there's some very funny things in here. Interesting. Even something as simple as that, just like the rating system of the fish, the names of buildings or the NPCs, talking with people, in the game. The one thing I realized is that people need to laugh. And I sincerely hope I provide part of that. I'm having a really fun time, fun time fishing. I certainly hope that this is entertaining and I at least help make people laugh in some regard, or that I'm helping in some capacity. And we are so close to that next level. Wow. But, and I also hope that, along the way that this does get to be informative. And so, yeah, I guess the two questions did end up kind of tying together, but that is also kind of what I like most, is the fact that, in this community, this funny type of behaviors, I feel like it's accepted. I feel very embraced by the community. And just the overall friendliness. And can I say Discord here? You know what? even if I can't, I'll just say the community server of this game in which people talk it. Or however you want to, Wukong invasion. However I'm allowed to say it. But even in said large community server, I think since this is Corporate Clash, I am allowed to say, so like, because I forget how it's exactly worded, but sometimes, when you have the loading screen, it gives a helpful tip kind of at the bottom, it does say to join the Clash community on Discord if you need, any help or any questions or to just talk to people or however it's worded. But essentially, it's very true. Like, that is a very helpful tip, and the tune tip, so to speak. And it is very true because I've found that people can just go in there. I've seen people ask questions and people answer them. And it's nothing like. And again, I will say, from my perspective at least, there are never any silly questions. Questions are questions. Questions are very important to have. We love questions. Just people in general. We love questions. We love asking questions, answering questions. Questions are important. But it's just so phenomenal that it's a very accepted community of questions. And someone asks a question, people answer a question. There's nothing to it. That's it. It's just very friendly and helpful. Which is what I really like. I've said really too many times, probably because I'm fishing. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just fishing for a couple laughs. I don't know. Also, I'm just now noticing too, so when you cast your line, so here, let's try and get this. Pay attention to the jelly bean bank. It takes them away like slowly one by one, not all at one time. That's very interesting. See, I'm just now noticing this. That's very fascinating. Who would have thought, am I right? And so yeah, I mean, there are other aspects of the game that are very phenomenal. The reworking of the main task line, the reworking of lawbots in general. And again, at the time of this recording, it's just the lawbot department that has been reworked, redone. I do not know in any way if anything's going to happen with any other departments, if like any boss battles will be redone or reworked or anything. I can only speculate that, and again, at this point, my speculation's probably next to nothing compared to what other people know, but it is very fascinating what's been done to the lawbot department. And if something like that were to be done, big if, but if something were to be done to the other departments, that would be fascinating too. I would add that to the list. But yeah, I mean, the gameplay itself is phenomenal, but the one thing above all else is just the community. Just you guys, everyone, everyone watching this, everyone who's helped along the way, just everyone who plays a part making this community thrive. All right. And again, as people know me, I probably get distracted. So as I'm answering questions, I'm going to get distracted by the fish I'm catching. Or I'm going to remember something for another question. Because again, I do want to try and answer these as thoroughly as possible. I feel like it's the least I could do to try and help people, get to know me a little more and more of my inner workings and all that. All right, so now that you have completed the Corporate Clash task line, what can you say? Was it what you expected? Was it more difficult than you expected? Okay, so I am definitely going to take this in two different parts. This question will be done in two different parts here. So was it what I expected just in terms of the gameplay? Yes. I mean, there's a lot of it where I was just blown away by, I guess, the writing, because the writing was phenomenal. I had to catch my line real quick. That went way down to zero. But, like the writing of the task line, what the NPCs all have to say, um, and just every aspect where, there is writing, where there's dialogue, so to speak. Anything like that, I'm thrilled with all that. And so, I was blown away with that. But overall, from what I've heard from some friends who've played this, yes, it was definitely, what was expected from a gameplay perspective. And I knew a little, not much, but I knew a little about like the 8th gag track, Zap and such, going into the different prestiges that you could try. Again, there are certain things where it's like I had a few hints on some helpful hints, coming into it, but nothing. Ooh, new species. Yes, we love to see new species. Phenomenal. But there were some things I kind of do coming in. Not a lot though, and so being able to play it out through that perspective, I think, was very nice. I liked it. I think that's all I want to say from the gameplay perspective. From the difficulty perspective, I don't know if I want to use the word difficult. I had to take a moment to pause there to try to think. I don't think I want to use the word difficult, but challenging, maybe. I don't know what would be the nicer way of kind of saying it, but I found it to be appropriately challenging. I can't think of anything off the top of my head where I just, there's nothing, in other words, I remember where I just like, oh, that was too hard. That should have been, I guess, more player friendly. I don't remember anything like that from this game off the top of my head. I don't even remember tasks where it took even, some tasks are time consuming, quote, time consuming relative to other tasks in the game, but I don't remember even anything about like, off the top of my head, where it's just like, like, oh, this should have been decreased, the number of whatever I needed should have been decreased to, take up less time. And honestly, even the ones that were, again, I'm relatively speaking, but, relatively that took a little more time than some of the other tasks. They were extremely helpful in terms of a gag trading perspective. And if you know me, you know how much I need to gag trade. I mean, look. Wait, let me pull it up after this fish. I mean, look at this. Wrong thing. Look at this. Look at that trap. I'm actually pleasantly surprised with Lure getting that as close as it did there. And honestly, like, these were the 4 I kind of expected to be where they were at the time. I kind of expected Squirt and Zap to maybe be a little closer to max, or even with one of them being max 2, considering that I started the game with these. So in that regard, I maybe would have expected to do better here for myself. But I mean, look at that trap, though. I mean, oh, it's going to take years. Yeah, I'm being facetious with that last sentence there. It probably won't take me too long once I. Oh, wait a minute. So at the time I'm recording, this is a Friday. So I could have done some gag farming with trap. I'm just now thinking of that. Anyway, though, but yeah, just to answer like from the difficulty perspective, as I like to say, challenging wise, found it to be appropriately challenging. There were, again, there are parts where as you're progressing through, you don't hit, any one point. Like like you take on Cashbot HQ in Mezzo Melody Land, and you're like, oh boy, here we go. But no, it Hook, Line, and Sinker. Okay, there we go. But no, it wasn't. It wasn't bad at all. Come on, fish, you will take this. It's called psychology. You gotta work them into it. Come on, fish, you will take this. There we go. Yeah, that was the other part about, not just the writing itself, but, from the gameplay perspective, but also from the challenge perspective, the team did a great job in making sure that every step along the way, made sure you were prepared and ready. So I can even remember going to, I believe it was Ye Old Toontown, and there were other spots along the way, but I believe that was the first one where well, no, there may have been other spots too, but that's the first one where I distinctly remember where you had to have a relatively higher level gag rack. High level being relative. It may have just been like a level 5, maybe. I forget exactly, but it was just like whatever it was. My point being, though, that there were checkpoints, so to speak. Oh, fishing bucket is full. Okay. But anyway, there were checkpoints along the way to make sure that you were prepared for what was next. So it's not like, okay, do whatever, take on however what you want to do this, that, and the other, that you get thrown into a boss battle. No. There was a check in place to make sure you had, like, do you have a seltzer bottle going into a VP, or do you have a squirting flower? And so, those checks, now, albeit if you don't have that gag at the time, it can be annoying. I do understand that. If it's like, if you are working really hard and, it just seems like you aren't getting anywhere, I do understand the frustration of that. And there are ways to, like with Gag Farming Friday, for example, to at least help with getting, more gag experience and such, more credit for your gag track. So I certainly understand that. But I do appreciate, ultimately, I think they were done like that to make sure that it was appropriately challenging and to make sure that you weren't, well, I'll put it this way, that you were prepared, that you were not, left like even more frustrated as a result, because I think that if there was not that check, you would have been, just anyone in general, you, me, anybody, would not have done as well, or at least would have been left a little more frustrated than having that check in place. So yeah, I don't want to say that it was, more challenging or less challenging. It was appropriately challenging, the game as a whole. And even at the end, I mean, that was a very intense boss battle, like we just saw a couple episodes ago. That was intense. I tell you, but you know what? I had a very good team. They've all done it before. I was the only first timer there, but they They knew what they were doing. They were very helpful, and that's what I think is important. Just to kind of also, take on boss battles. That's the incentive now too, where it's like, okay, I complete the main task line, but now might be able to go out there and help someone else complete the main task line. Now that I know what to expect, I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone, but I'm certainly gonna, go out there and help someone if they need it. That's it with that question. That's what the next question has to say. Okay, so yeah, what motivates you to continue? Okay, so that last part of the question kind of feeds into this next question. So yeah, what motivates me to continue playing Toontown in general, or just Corporate Clash now? It's very fascinating where, especially with Corporate Clash, there's that incentive. I still feel incentivized to continue helping people, those who have not completed the main task line, those who are at playground bosses. So whether, it's in the first 3 playgrounds, or whether it's, any of the 4 boss cogs, for example, the bosses, the heads of the departments, the game is still set up to the extent to where, these players who are just taking these playground bosses on for the first time, they need help, especially for the, because we all need assistance that first time, obviously. And so, especially for the 4 department heads, or whatever you want to call them, the boss cogs, or, especially Craig. Craig's very, everyone needs help with Craig. But, it's just very helpful to be able to go in there and offer assistance to someone who's doing it for the first time. And then, we pass on what we learned on to them, and they pass what they learned on to the next tunes who are doing it for the first time. It's just a very circular system of helping each other out. I like it. And so what motivates me to continue? Just being able to help others, really. That's kind of what it all boils down to. Come on, fish. You know you want it. You know you want it. Come on. There we go. So you gotta talk them into it sometimes. That's how you gotta do it. Let's go after this one. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, just I know I didn't spend as much time as the others on that question, but I hope that, kind of answers it. What motivates me to continue is just, giving back to the community. Just being able to help others. Alright, so this next one, yeah. Why is Hans a bat? I gotta know. And so I think I could give her a shout out on this one. I wasn't sure about the others, if I should have given a shout out. This one I'm pretty sure I can. Yeah, Chrissy definitely sent this one in. Friend of mine, she's one of the ones who I was saying before, a friend who had convinced me to giving this a try. She was one of them. But yeah, so essentially, new species. Hey, you can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. What do you do with a piano tune a fish then? That's what I want to know. These are the real questions we need to ask. Wonder how rare is very rare, though. I should have had a fishing chart up to determine what the different rarity levels were. I'm going to get back to that question, though. before, you know what, I'm all over the place. I'm going to get back to that question first before I look up any charts or such. Why is Hans a bat? So yeah. So she asked a very good question. Why is Hans a bat? You know, it's very interesting. As I was going through the different species lists, whoa, that gave a lot of, whoa. I got to the next level just on that alone, and then some. Anyway, though, see, I get distracted easily. Why is Hans a bat? So I was just going through the different species and such. I wanted to try it out, a new species. Yep. So for those of you familiar with Rewritten and such, you know, there's a species list. You know, the species that they have in game. Clash also has I guess what you would call an expanded species list, where you know you have a lot of the ones in Rewritten, you know, that are shared, but then there are even more. So I just wanted to, so that was where I wanted to start, at least, was just one that wasn't necessarily in Rewritten. You know, I wanted a new, fresh species. So, you know, there were a few different options. I just found it kind of amusing to go with a bat. The other thing, too, was just to remember, this was in September. You know, so keep in mind, I started this in September, and, you know, it's kind of like, you know, yeah, it's fall time, you have Halloween right around the corner. It's just, you know, the bat just kind of made sense, just in a couple of different regards. You know, it was, you know, newer, well, in terms of what I'm used to, at least. You know, it was a species I've never seen before, offered in a Toontown game. And it was, you know, fall time, right around the time where you have a lot of the Halloween trick-or-treating type stuff out, and my fishing bucket is full again. Feels like I was just here a moment ago. How many species do I have anyway? Wrong thing. There we go. 47, okay. So yeah, though, but it's just fascinating that, you know, it all kind of coincided together and it just worked out in that regard. Now, I can also expand upon the name. I forget if it was shown or not, so I can't admit now, I think. I was having some video difficulties with my, well, first couple episodes of the series, quite frankly, with trying to get the recording to work. For some reason, it kept, like, lagging the video. So, you know, like, I would record it and such, and while I'm doing it live, you know, as I'm recording, everything seems to be going fine, but then when I go to watch it later to make sure everything turned out okay, it just lagged. The entire video, well, the entire first part of the video just lagged. So I was having some difficulty with some of that. So I don't know if some of my commentary got cut out of it, or if, well, I know for a fact that some of it was cut out because I did edit it out, because there was no use showing it if it was just going to lag the entire time. But really, I just kept, so there was a randomizer button, so I just kept trying to randomize the name and work with something. So I will say, for the record, the full name, Judge Hans Winnie Jinx, was not, like it wasn't completely randomized, but I did just hit the random button to try and get a title, a first name, a title in the first name. The Winnie Jinx part, that one's fairly easy. Because again, I find myself very punny in nature, you know, so witty, you know. I try to be witty. I may not always succeed, as those of you who watch these videos very much find out. You know, especially here at the fishing docks, I've succumbed to peer pressure here. You know, peer pressure. But anyway, yeah, I try to be witty, but Most of the time I'm not. And then jinx essentially comes from like, hijinks. I'm always up to hijinks and such, like my antics as I'm recording, my typical antics. So that's kind of what that boiled down to. I had to look all through the list to find that, but that one was fairly easy to come up with. Pods, I could say, like, so if you saw, what was it? That was like a couple episodes ago where I had to take on a VP as part of that last task. Spoiler alert for anyone who did not see that, but, um, for that last part of the task, for, that last section at least, I had to take on a VP where I made I said HODs instead of like hand. And that was kind of the joke to it. That was kind of what I was thinking of when I created this tune as well. So HODs is supposed to kind of be like, hey, you gotta HODs it to me for trying. But, because the fun part of it is, like, in real life, a bat doesn't have hands. They have those wings, those wing type things or whatever. I don't know what they're actually called. I'm not a bat expert. But, bats have wings and such. And so it was just funny to name a bat Hans because a bat in real life doesn't have Hans hands. However, no hands. So it was just amusing to me to try that out. The judge part, I cannot say at all. Like that one was completely randomized. I just wanted a title. Like, if I'm being completely honest, that came out of nowhere. But I do get this phrase, and at least it makes sense. But yeah, because I like to have a title and such with a lot of my tunes, but it just was. I wanted a new title. I didn't want something I've already used. I wanted something new, but it was just a matter of, randomize it. It doesn't matter, just as long as it's new. So now that I answered that question, so thank you very much, Chrissy, for that question. Thanks again. So, but yeah, let me see if there's a fishing chart. Okay, so yes, fishing rarities. So I'm assuming this is in, really? Okay, so I am going to guess that this is in order of rarity, starting with least rare, or in other words, most common, to least common, aka most rare. Or, you know what? I completely botched the wording of that, but essentially from least rare to most rare. It looks like cod do better, then common, then interesting, then rare, then very rare is fifth. So when I just found that new species I had, that was very rare. Then you have really rare, really. I like that. I already used that joke. Then it's trout of this world. That's funny. And then your piranha roll. So I've had the holy mackerel. I caught that like twice before in the past. This is the third instance of catching that. And that one said your piranha roll. So that's very interesting. But no, but that is very interesting to learn that I caught something that, if I'm reading this chart right, is considered to be one of the most rare fishes. Because that's something that I typically don't get. Typically, when it comes to the ones that are like the most rare and such, I only catch them once, and that's it. That's all the luck I have. If I'm lucky to get that far, which thankfully, for those of you that know Groff, he's caught everything, all the fish species. So, but he only's caught them all, like especially the rare ones, like the ones that are like less than 1% of getting, or whatever. He's only caught those once or twice max. Here I seem to be having a little more luck. And the other thing too is I do need to check other playgrounds to see, because I'm sure it works the same way where, different playground pools or ponds, I should say. Yeah, go catch fish in a pool. No, don't go in the pool. It's a pond. But just the different playground ponds to see what's different. So we do have one more question. And as you can see, it's a different day that I'm answering this question, which is why you see Fish Bingo kind of going on. But it gives a good opportunity to at least showcase the Fish Bingo. It's very awesome, actually. So I'm finding that I'm getting a lot more boots than normal. Of course, as soon as I say that, now I'm not getting any boots, but such as, oh, there we go. There's another one. There we go. So yeah, that's actually very helpful. Typically, you don't find boots that helpful. I said that twice in a row. Yes, I did. You don't find them that helpful. But in this case, with Fish Bingo, you want to try and get at least, see, there we go. There's another one. A lot of boots, because now you can put those anywhere. And it really helps with your bingo board, bingo cardboard, something like that. Cardboard, yes, it's a cardboard. So anyway, though, you do find it helpful in that regard because, in this case at least, I only have 3 to go. Of course, there's always going to be that one that I'm not going to get, or I'm going to get it as, as time expires or something. You would think balloon fish would be a little easier, but I guess not. So come on either one boot or a peanut butter jelly or some type of sandwich fish. Sandwich fish, yes, that's what it's called now. Sandwich fish. Sandfish. Anyway, though, yes, I did say there was one more question, and that question was it's a rewritten related question, I should say. Rewritten related, try saying that 10 times fast. But it's essentially asking, what is Professor Gigglecorn? Oh, I did not get it in time. Right at the buzzer, too. See, I always said there's going to be that one that I'm just not going to get. Anyway, though, the question being, what subject is Professor Gigglecorn a professor of, and does he teach any classes? Yes, you'll be happy to know that, a perimeter bingo. Yes, you'll be happy to know that too, but you will be happy to know that Professor Gigglecorn does have his degree in punology. And for those of you that don't know, the phrase ology is like the study of. So it's literally the study of puns. It's very punterful if you ask me, but yes, he does have his degree. Obviously, he's a professor, so it's an advanced degree of punology from the University of Flippy. So yes, he learned everything from Flippy, hands down. Yes, that was his mentor, so to speak. So yes, he does have that degree in punology. He doesn't teach any classes per se. Professor Gigglecorn, that is, does not teach any classes exactly. He's more of like a wandering professor. I don't know how else to phrase it. He's a wandering professor in the sense that, he just kind of travels all around Toontown, spreads his pun knowledge and wisdom with everyone, tries out some new material, new jokes and puns on everyone, see what works, see what doesn't work, all that. But yeah, that is definitely a good question. That question, I think I could say who it's from too with this one. This one is from Steve, and another friend of mine. He, much like how I said with Chrissy before, he was another friend that really got me started into Corporate Clash. So very thankful for that. And thank you for the question again, if I forgot to say so. But and thanks to everyone for these questions too that they've asked. And so yes, I do have, let's see, I think I have one more question. A couple people asked this, and again, I'm never sure when I should give a shout out to people, but I do thank you all for submitting these questions. I do appreciate it. So if you've submitted one, thank you. If you have not submitted one, you're still more than welcome to. And I don't know when, nothing will be imminent, but I might do another one of these at some point in the future if I get enough questions. Again, just, a few more questions and such. And obviously, I'm more than happy to answer questions. Just whether it be not on video or if you don't want it to be, and definitely if you want me to give you a shout. Whoa! Did that really just happen? I'm in shock. Well, I guess there's my ray of hope for the day. But no, but really though, if you do have a question, please definitely submit it. And whether you want me to answer it on video or just privately, or I'm always happy to answer these types of questions and such. And again, for some people I know to give a shout out to them, I would love to give a shout out to everyone who asks, but I just never know if it's appropriate or such. So, but definitely, if you want a shout out, please do let me know that, because I'm more than happy to. So yeah, so what's next is essentially the final question, and several people ask that in a couple different ways, but it essentially boils down to what's next. There is so much I do. So I still have quite a few fish to go, as you can tell. So fishing, that's definitely an option. I definitely want to keep fishing here for Clash, try and get the remaining species. I still have a long way to go with cog suits. I definitely do want to do more boss battles. Definitely, that's on the list, that's for sure. Oh, whoops. There we go. But yeah, so that's on the list. There are other kind of Clash projects. So for those of you that know, I've done an Uber series and Uber videos for Rewritten. I would definitely be for bringing that over here, just trying to make an Uber for Clash even. I would definitely want to do that. Because so the main thing is I'm not sure how it works here, how different it is, how different the feel of it is, having an Uber in Clash. So that's something, I haven't experienced it yet, so that's something I definitely want to try. I have, different projects on the table. I've gone this far, recording. I definitely have a lot more projects I want to try, and it feels like I have no time at all to try them. So yeah, I'm definitely going to get a list together and prioritize kind of what's next and such. Maybe I'll eat a peanut butter jelly sandwich even while making these decisions. I don't know. But yeah, so my point though still being, that is a very good question, because it's like, okay, you're done with the main task line, now what? And that's typically the point. I could do it all over again. If I wanted to. I do have another tune that's kind of made and ready. I just haven't done anything with him yet. So that could be something I could try. Definitely building an Uber's on there. Completing the activities. Oh, fishing. Oh. Considering what the type of rod I now have, I must steal myself away so I can complete fishing. And then the boss battle. Yeah, so I will say about the cog suits, that the disguises and the boss battling and such. So for rewritten, I did it in the order upon which I gained, you know, the suit. So in other words, like I did a lot of Cellbot stuff first. It's like I would mingle in, you know, Cashbot, Lawbot, Bossbot, you know, I mingled those in, but I primarily focused on Cellbot first, and I maxed the Cellbot suit first. And then same thing with, you know, Cashbot. You know, I would, you know, do all three kind of, but I would mainly then focus on Cashbot. I did, you know, all of Cashbot, and then I maxed Cashbot next, and then I, you know, maxed Lawbot next, and I maxed Bossbot last. Here, it's just going to depend on the groups, but I'm going to say ideally CLO all day long. I just love the CLO battle so much. The redesign of the Lawbot as a whole is just, as I said before, that's amazing. And, you know, I just, if it was up to me, I would max Lawbot first here. Just because it's amazing, and you get the overclocked CLO, as you know, obviously you get higher up there in level, which I'm a far away from that. But still, it's just so amazing what you can do. Of course, there are other, like with the VP and CFO, those also have some uses as well, especially with, you know, getting unites and SOSs to be able to use that toward, you know, the more difficult kind of battles. Well, unless if I get another, like extremely, or I was gonna say very rare, but that's not the correct term. If I get a piranha roll type thing, unless if I get one of those, I'm probably not gonna reach fishing level 50 here. But yeah, I definitely just want to say, you know, thank you all for the questions. I really appreciate it. Hopefully I answered them thoroughly. Hopefully I answered them, you know, to your liking, and that you got more of an insight out of it as a result. Kind of like a behind the scenes look of how I think as I'm in the game and such, in the mode. But yeah, so this is probably going to be my last bucket here, because those are all the questions that have been submitted thus far. But definitely, as I said, you know, if you have any more questions, definitely submit those. I can answer them privately on video, or I'm not sure when I'm going to do another recording like this answering questions, but you can be sure that it, yeah, it's probably not going to be for a little bit at least, but definitely if I get a few questions, I would answer them and try and fish again. This would probably be the style of it, because we're just, you know, just something to do as we're trying to find some new species and such. And hey, we found a few today. So, and again, thank you all for that, because you were here watching, hearing me answer questions as we get these new fish. So yeah, that was very fascinating. So yeah, this was definitely a good way to, you know, fish while answering questions. It definitely worked out very well, I'd say.
Dr. White?
But yeah, if there are definitely any more questions, I always love answering those. I also like doing boss battles. If anyone ever needs to do boss battles, that's awesome. But yeah, so I do want to thank everyone. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it enough being able to receive your questions and such and answering them here. It's really is phenomenal being able to engage with the community, especially with a community as positive as this one. I cannot tell you how amazing it is. So as I'm hopefully finishing up these last few fishes here, this is going to be it for me for this episode, at least. Again, there's still going to be way more Clash content in the future. As you heard in this video, I have a lot of things planned. It's just a matter of how I'm going to do them and when. The when part's really the tricky thing, but you know, I do have a lot still planned. Hopefully, get to them all at some point here. But yeah, here with this fisher person. I do want to thank you all so much for joining, and I hope I answered your questions. And again, please feel free to always submit more if you have any. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time with more Clash content. Thank you so much, everyone.